Hi guys. So today we are going to start a new topic on preposition, and this is the start of Unit 2. Unit 2, first chapter that we are going to talk about is prepositions. And this again, as I keep repeating, it's not a new chapter which you already have done in your school days. It's just a repetition of that. And let's see in depth of what is all this prepositions all about. So as we know, it gives a general relationship between a noun or a pronoun to the rest of the sentence. It gives more meaning to the sentence by using prepositions. Let's see a few examples here. We lived in Mumbai. The word in gives more meaning, indicating that that person was living in Mumbai. He travels by air. The word by is the preposition here in the sentence. Similarly, we have the next sentence. He is fond of music. Okay, so of, the word of plays the role of a preposition here, and the word is a verb here. How far is Trichy from Coimbatore? So the word from indicates the preposition. There is a small temple on the top of the mountain. So here again it indicates the position. Okay, so these words which gives more relation to the sentences, which gives relation from the noun or pronoun to the rest of the sentence, or to the rest of the sentence called predicate, that is from subject to predicate. These words are called as prepositions, and few examples we have already seen. Now let's see, the following sentence gives several possible meanings based on the prepositions used. Like a simple example of a cat and a wall. Let's see how many prepositions we can use to give a meaningful imagination. Like suppose I say a cat is sitting before the wall. We can automatically imagine that there is a cat seated just before the wall. Now keeping the same scenario, same example, let's see what all we can imagine with the same cat and wall. So here we have few examples. So the cat is before the wall. Okay, and suppose the cat is below the wall. Just imagine below the wall in the sense there is a wall and there is a vacant place below, and the free space, that is called below the wall. Cat is on the wall. We can imagine the cat is seated on the wall. Over the wall, again it should be somewhere above the wall. Above the wall, yeah. So all these instances you can just visualize a cat where it is exactly seated. Cat is near the wall, yeah. Cat is under the wall, behind the wall, is at the wall, outside the wall, after the wall. So all this indicates various positions of how the cat has been seated. Okay, so it gives more relationship to the noun of cat and the wall. So preposition plays a major role in giving more meaning to the sentence. Without prepositions, the sentence will be incomplete. And there are three kinds of prepositions. One is simple preposition, compound preposition, and phrasal prepositions. So let's see all the three varieties. What are they? Very simple one. To start with simple prepositions, these are very small words of just two letters, two or three letters. Examples given are like at, by, for, from, in, off, off, on, out, through, till, to, up, with. These are all simple prepositions. And let's see compound prepositions, a slightly bigger word than the simpler one. Examples are like about, above, across, along, among, amongst, around, before, behind, below, beneath, beside, between, beyond, inside, outside, underneath, within, and without. So what are these phrase prepositions? These come as a combination of two or three words. Okay, these are phrases which comes in a combination of two or three words. So these are few examples like according to, yeah, agreeably to, along with, away from, because of, by dint of, in accordance with, in front of, in lieu of, in order to, in place of, in reference to. These are all phrase prepositions, which is a combination of two or three words put together. So we saw all the three combinations of prepositions. Simple are just simple small letter words, and compound words are slightly bigger one but a single word. And whereas phrase prepositions are a combination of two or three letters, and that's why it's called as phrase prepositions. Okay, and we have few more examples by that. Lot many: by means of, by reason of, in virtue of, by way of. So these kind of examples would come, these kind of words you should start using in your vocabulary, because they may come in your exams as per anonymity. So these are, I'm not reading out all the words, but keep in mind these are the words, like with a view of, with an eye to, with reference to. These all come under phrase prepositions. In compliance with, in course of, with regard to, or with reference to. Okay. So a few more examples given is: in case of need, phone me. Okay. By virtue of the power vested in me, I hereby order. In consequence to his illness. In course of time. An army officer died fighting on behalf of his country. Okay. So these are a few examples where prepositions give more meaning to the sentence, and it is used very commonly. Okay. Participle preposition. Now, what are these participle prepositions? Are the following words that are used absolutely without any noun or pronoun being attached to them. For all participle prepositions, they have become prepositions and are sometimes distinguished as particle prepositions. Like, these are the words. As such, if you see, like bearing, concerning, considering, during, notwithstanding, this is one word. Okay. So pending, regarding, all this under, they all come under participle preposition. So we don't have to go into in depth of it. I'm just giving a knowledge about what are participle prepositions. Sometimes we have the preposition which can act also as a adverb. Okay. So we'll see two differences, how the same preposition can be used as adverb and also can be used as a preposition. Like the example given here is go and run about. Okay. Run about, here it is acting as adverb for the verb run. Okay. So how to run? To run about. So it gives more definition to the verb run. Whereas the same about word is used as a preposition here. Don't loiter about the street. Here it is, the same word is used as a preposition. It is not defining any verb in this, or it is not acting as adverb, but is acting as a preposition. Let's see the second example. I could not come before. So it's defining for the verb come, that is before or later, whereas the same before, when it's used in a preposition, the second sentence, I came the day before yesterday. Okay. Here it is more or less as a acting as a preposition. Third example, has he come in? So talking about talking about the verb come, whether has he come in or not yet come in, whatever. But whereas in preposition, is he in his room? So we're talking about the position here. So preposition of position. Okay. So the wheel came off. Here talking about the wheel coming off from the car or something. So whereas the preposition place, the driver jumped off the car, is talking about the position. Okay, he is jumped off the car. Here it is not defining any verb or anything, whereas in the previous sentence it is very much defining about came off, talking about the verb came. Let us move on. So here again the word on is talking about move, and whereas the book lies on the table, again is talking about the position here. His father arrived soon after, so before or after, talking about the arrival. Okay. Whereas here after a month he returned, so you're talking about the the time. Take this parcel over to his office is talking about taking, or the verb taking, whereas in preposition he says he rules over a vast empire, talking about the entire area. I have not seen him since. So here it's acting as a adverb here, whereas I have not slept since yesterday, it's acting as a preposition. So these are few examples which can act as adverb or preposition. So see, read and understand the context while writing your exams to use the right word in the right context. So let's see preposition of place, time. So there are totally 7 to 8 criteria. So we'll go one by one. So the following are some of the common relations indicated by the prepositions. As a place, how these prepositions can work. Went about the world, Ram went across the road, leaned against the wall, fell among thieves, quarrelled among themselves, at death's door, stood behind the curtain. So all these words indicate about the place. Whereas time of prepositions, we have these words like after, at, before, by, during, for, in, on, towards, until, within. So these words indicate about the time. Manner, proportion of manner. See, we says dying by inches, fought with courage, work with earnestness, won with ease. So all this talks about which manner, how, in what manner the particular action has been, or particular instance has taken place. Whereas cause, reason, or purpose, we use commonly used word is for and from. Okay, so labored for the good of humanity, died of fever, the very place for a picnic, did it for own food, summoned from government. So all these words are used for reason, cause, or purpose. And possession, proportion of possession. There was a money on him, the mosque of Oman, the boy with red shirt, a man with a child. So all this on, off, with, all indicating about the possessions. Talking about measure, standard, rate, or value, we use commonly used words are at, by. That is, he charges interest at 9%. Cloth is sold by the yard. He is taller than me by 2 inches. Okay, and inference, motive, source, or origin of proportion. Let's see what are the words. Commonly used words are from and to. From what I know of him, I hesitated to trust him. He did it from gratitude. Okay, contrast or concession, we have these commonly used words like after every effort one may fall. For one enemy he has 100 friends. For all his wealth he is not content. Like here the word of for is used as a in spite of. Okay, in spite of all his wealth he is not content, he is not satisfied. For in spite of all his faults I admire him. Okay, use of in or at. Many times many of us have this a problem to use whether the in or at in the context. When should we use in and when should we use at? Okay, so the rule number 1 says with the names of cities, towns, or village, in most cases in is used. We use in when we are talking about a place as an area, and we use at when we see it as a point. Okay, so there is a consider two things, as an area and as a point. So when talking about area, we are going to use in, and we are talking about a particular point, a particular single point, we are talking we'll be using at. We stayed in Mumbai. Okay, here talking about the Mumbai area. Whereas if I say we stopped at Mumbai on the way to Muscat, so here you're talking about a small destination, a small point. Okay, so how long have you lived in this village? So talking about the area here, okay, in the village. Whereas at is used to just indicate a single point. Okay, we stopped at Mumbai on the way to Muscat. Whereas the previous one example, talking about area, we say we stayed in Mumbai. Getting the difference between in and at? I hope it is quite clear. We'll move on to the next rule. So we use at to talk about group activities and shops or workplaces. Like, did you see Mohan at the party? Okay, so talking about activities, group kind of environment. I saw him at the baker's. So again, it's a shop name is baker's, so he saw him at that particular place. We use in with the names of the streets and at when we give the house number. Okay, this is very important. Many of us go wrong here. So when we are talking about street names, okay, so it has to be in. She lives in Raja Street. And talking about house number, they live at 40 Raja Street. Okay, in is used for streets and at is used for house number. Okay, I hope it is quite clear. Rule number 4. We use on when we talk of a place as a surface. Like the book is placed on the table. Fix the wall clock on the wall. So here the word on is used to indicating the surface of a table or surface of a wall. So that's it, guys. So proportion is quite easy and interesting. Only thing is that you need to minutely understand the nuances of how to use the propositions in the right place, in the right context. Okay, so go through the materials provided completely, and it comes only through practice. The more you practice the sentence on using a propositions, you can get your grammars right. Thank you, guys. Thank you.